Hey there guys, so I'm Jack from Go Proposal and I want to talk you through how we've driven success with our clients through the idea of community cohorts. So bringing people together around a problem and a goal and getting them to work towards that goal to achieve success. So what I want to run through is a few key things. So firstly, what the norm is for us at Go Proposal will be very similar to what a lot of you guys will be doing already. Why we decided to try something different, what the process and the results were, and how you could deliver this yourself. So let's move that out of the way there so you can see that there. Now, just in terms of, if I just make that smaller, just to make that a little bit easier to see, just in terms of what the norm was for Go Proposal, I think there's some very standard approaches that we had. So automated programs that were behavior triggered, and this is something that we still do and we think is very important. But this is something that we want to try and get away from for this experiment that we did. One-to-one relationships with client success managers, so individual clients having individual relationships with just their client success manager, and that being sort of a one-way or a two-way channel that information passed between, and there was no one else really within that relationship. And then standalone journeys for every business or customer experience in isolation. So the journey all depends on the individual customer or the client, and they experience it in isolation. They don't experience it with other people, particularly apart from other things where we can bring people together, such as our community that we have on Facebook that's very big for Go Proposal. So when I say the journey, I'm talking about the setup of the system or the overcoming of a particular challenge in this process, not so much the wider community that we have. So why did we decide to try something different? And I mentioned the wider community that we've got, and this is a huge part of what we have here at Go Proposal. So the reason we decided to try something different was because of our learnings from that. So community is absolutely central to what we do here at Go Proposal. We have thousands of people all in our Go Proposal community that work together, share great stories, and have great conversations. So there's thousands of businesses within there that all interact all the time. We have hundreds of posts, comments, and organic conversations every week, and thousands of examples of that peer-to-peer encouragement, support, and advice. But that was all very dependent on different parts of the journey that people were having. So it wasn't necessarily that people were all coming together around the same challenge. They could be at different points within the system and utilizing the system in different ways. And we knew that community drove change. We'd seen it happen all the time within Go Proposal. We knew what it could do, and we wondered whether we could utilize this idea further. So what was the process? What does the community cohort really look like? Now, the very first thing to note is that we had to get willing participants into the cohort. So what we decided to do was to define the challenge being get more clients working with their clients on fee reviews and regular pricing conversations to increase their fees. So this was all about the current clients they were working with. We knew they were undercharging and overservicing their clients. It's a massive common problem within the accounting and bookkeeping space because the services they deliver are very complicated and the people that they work with are very complex. So it's actually very difficult to be able to make sure we're always charging the right amount and that we're not doing more work than we've agreed. So the very first thing we did was we had an announcement where we said, this is what we're going to do. We're going to bring a group of people together around this challenge of making sure we reprice our clients, and we're going to take you through this journey together. So explicit opt-in there. Announce it and get people to say, yes, I'm willing, I want to try this out, and I want to see what I can do with this challenge. Set that shared goal. So the initial goal that I mentioned there was the idea of getting people to reprice their clients and get them onto the proper fee they should have been on. So get away from that over-servicing and that undercharging challenge. Agree the deadline and the milestones. So once we brought those people together, we made it very explicit what the deadline was for the challenge. So it was the April challenge when we did it. and set milestones along the way. So everybody knew what they had to do and everybody knew what they were going to learn along the way to help them solve this challenge as well. Track the progress. So once people were in the cohort and they'd come together and they'd all agreed that they wanted to work on this, we had a live doc where everybody's progress was tracked. This is massive for accountability. We actually had people in there that we brought together and teamed up as buddies within the process. But what this meant was that everybody seeing the document together was they could see what other people were doing, and they felt like, oh, I'm best crack on and do some more work because I can see the progress everybody else is making. So really important that we did that. And people who didn't follow the rules or didn't update the tracker, they were removed from the process. So it was a very exclusive but also hyper accountable process in there. So I've mentioned the buddy system there. So give people a partner. So partner up two businesses together and get them to work together on the challenge so they could share ideas, they could have someone to bounce things off and really build that relationship that wasn't just Go Proposal and client, it was actually client and client that we were building there. So I mentioned the following of the rules. So everyone had to be outcome focused, but everybody had to commit to updating that tracker as well. And this is something that they had to say they were going to do to get into the process itself. So this just meant that we could hold them to a higher level of accountability than we would if we were dealing with someone one-to-one, because although we communicate how we're going to help them and get success, there's not that accountability of you're going to be removed from process X if you don't do that. And then we made it very explicit in terms of celebrating big wins and sharing success they'd had along the way. So over the 30 days, as people were coming together to start repricing their clients, learn more about that process and start bringing more income into their business, we got them to share that. And then as they were going through the process, we made sure they had exclusive content to educate them on. So what was the best practice around how they could reprice their clients? What was that going to look like within the Go Proposal system? And what should they be thinking about to make this a success? And they were the only people that had access to that to generate that exclusivity. So what were the results off the back of that? So the results are very, very specific in terms of what it allowed, because it drove higher MRR in our clients. So the monthly recurring revenue of these businesses was driven way up from where it was before. Now, we had around 70 firms in there over 4 weeks doing this challenge, and there was thousands and thousands of pounds added onto their MRR as they were going through this, which increased their ARR as well along the process. So for our clients, what they got out of this process was not just that they were more confident, they could have these conversations moving forward and that huge increase in MRR over 4 weeks, but also there's some great takeaways for ourselves as well. So firstly, that accountability is stronger in communities than it is as a standalone process. So when we're client success manager working with business, we can have certain ways of holding people to account, but if we create a community where accountability is central, then we're going to get better results. This process can still be scaled. So our initial concern was, can we scale this process because we're going to work with a specific group of people live on a time frame rather than have it all automated. But because we could deliver the content to so many people, regardless of the fact that it was a cohort, it meant that we know we can make this a scalable process. So we only had 70 or so businesses go through it, but there's no reason why there couldn't be 1,000 businesses that would go through this process and buddied up and worked in this way. Community, when we bring people together like this, is aspirational and it inspires action. So people can see what's going on around them. So as people worked over the 4 weeks to start delivering fee reviews with their clients, they could see other people taking action. They could see other successes. It created an aspirational atmosphere in the community and inspired people to do more. And people are more resilient and stay more positive when they are in it with a partner. So not only was it the community that did this, but giving them a partner in the buddy system to work through this together meant they were more resilient, they tried harder and they got things done, and they stayed more positive in the process as well because there was so much positivity around them as well. And then exclusivity matters. So when we released the cohort and invited people to join, we had our release event. We invited people to join the challenge, the 4-week journey, but we said there was only so many spaces available. Now, that meant that more people were keen to get involved, and it also meant, because they knew it was exclusive, that they were going to follow the rules. And we even had people that we removed from the process because they weren't following the rules. So it made it seem like a very exclusive process that people really wanted to be part of. So how can you deliver this? So I think very first thing to do is to identify a cohort by identifying a goal. So for us, we want to bring people together to start repricing their clients and solve that pricing challenge. Other people, it might be individuals who want to train their team on a system that aren't using a system, or it may be that they want to increase efficiencies and reduce the time spent on a certain part of a process within the business. Just make that a unified goal that everyone's bought into from the start. Make it a clear timeline, a set of rules, and give them a partner in the process. So once you've identified the goal, make it very clear what the process is going to look like. Make sure there's a physical community for people to join. So we had a community on Facebook that everyone joined, and that was very important for sharing wins and sharing successes. And then, as I said there, sharing success and creating clear and strict rules with consequences meant that you had both sides of the coin. You had that an aspirational thing to work towards, but also that accountability where people knew that if they didn't pull their weight and follow the rules, they'd be removed from the process, which inspired more action, and as a result, got them to take more action within the Go Proposal system. A program of content that will educate the participants on best practice is really important. So to make sure that we know what they're going to do technically within your system is important, and how they're going to utilize it in a better way. But what are the best practice elements that go around that? And then make it exclusive. So really important to make this an exclusive process as we're running through this, and making sure that people want to join and they're happy to be held account and they're happy to follow those rules because they know there's not many spaces in the process. So overall, that is everything that I want to run through here in terms of the Go Proposal cohort process. Now, obviously, the main aim of the whole thing is to get people to use the app more and get them more embedded in the system, but in the sort of center of all that is more value for the client, so more value for the user. It's not just great, the end goal is they use our system more. The end goal was something that was massively valuable to them. So that's really important to do. I hope that was useful, guys. I hope that all made sense. If you've got any questions, please contact me, and I hope that you take something from that you can move forward with. Cheers, guys.